thousands of men who have walked and dreamed and studied and played and have been inspired on this venerable campus since that day in 1837 when Davidson College was established by my Calvinist ancestors who prized knowledge and religion beyond all price. Chambers has been the heart of the campus since it was erected back in 1859. The funds were left the college by that great Salisbury merchant, Maxwell Chambers. Of course, this is not the same building. The original burned in 1921, but a greater Chambers rose in less than 10 years. High up there is the symbolic seal and Latin motto, the work of a mysterious Frenchman called Peter Ney, who, tradition has it, really was none other than the renowned Marshal Ney, Napoleon's daring general. Allenda lux ubi orta libertas. Freely translated, it says, and has renewed meaning today. Where liberty has arisen, let learning be cherished. The administrative offices of the college are in this building. Dr. John Cunningham, the president of Davidson College, is constantly kept busy with his correspondence, keeping in touch with those who have Davidson in their hearts. This morning, he is proud to tell the many friends of the college about the foundation that has just given $50,000 to Davidson, selected as one of 6 colleges in the nation giving special emphasis for training leaders. Here, Dean Bailey, Registrar Hengeveld, and a student are discussing courses. It is normal at Davidson for a boy to be given personal counseling like this, but today there is a special significance. They are comparing 2 catalogs. How few the courses in 1848, and with only 3 faculty members. We should remind ourselves that growth in courses and students also increases the cost of operation. The fees that a boy pays covers little more than 1/2 of what it costs the college to educate him. The $1 million in endowment sought in our development program is therefore one of the prices we pay for the privilege and responsibility of educating a larger number of men. Even more significant, this boy, Bob Carson, finds in that 1848 catalog another Robert Carson, his great-great-grandfather. This is the heritage of Davidson, generations following generations being trained in the ideals of this college. This is the faculty of 1948. These are those absent-minded professors, absent-minded regarding their own welfare so frequently, but always with their minds on their subjects, and particularly on the young men. These are the men who keep Davidson's standard of scholarship so high. The side door of Chambers is a convenient shortcut for getting to class. American history under Dr. Protest Johnston is a popular course at Davidson. The men just as carefully are taking notes against that exam that is bound to come later. This is Dean Brown, so we know that economics is being taught here. Production, distribution, and consumption. Indeed, the world needs to understand and solve these problems. This is the famous Martin Science Building, which forms one side of a new quadrangle. In here, men who will be doctors and scientists receive their fundamental training. Many distinguished men of science call Davidson their alma mater. We find Dr. Puckett showing students how to make plastic molds, a development of his that is now being used by scientists everywhere. When you see the finished product, you will know why. A little of this and a little of that. You place the specimen in the mixture, and you can see the subject clearly. Also, the specimens do not break when the plastic molds fall over. Oaks and elms and maple trees everywhere. Did you ever see dogwood more gorgeous? North Carolina's official flower waves like a flag in the breeze. Remember the old story back in 1861? The student body took a one-day holiday, and each man planted a sapling on the campus, naming it for his sweetheart. These are those trees. And here is Fraternity Court, that unique grouping of fraternity houses where the men meet but don't sleep. Well, at night, that is. Much of the wholesome social life of the campus centers around these fraternity houses and at the campus club in the old inn. The emphasis at Davidson is always on preparation for life. The whole physical education program reaches every man on the campus, not just the top athletes. Golf, tennis, well coached, are prized by hosts of boys, for they will play these sports throughout life after leaving college. Our tennis team, coached by that British Davis Cup star Derek Barton, only lost one conference match last year and played such colleges as Colgate, Duke, and Penn State. Here go the trackmen. They're trained for speed, stamina, and timing. Those qualities will stand them in good stead all their lives. Need I remind you that the field on which these games are played is the Richardson Stadium, built by H. Smith Richardson of the class of 1906 and Lunsford Richardson of 75. What a splendid memorial. It does honor to sons and father. Here comes the band. A football game must be coming up. Football with its training in team play, discipline, and courage. The Wildcats are on their rampage today. Stands the old gym. It did a good job for many years, but now is outdated and inadequate. These are the coaches, a splendid staff, who have carried through the health program in spite of the handicap of a poor gymnasium. And now for the good news. In July, we held the groundbreaking ceremonies for a new gym. Students and faculty gathered, the scripture was read, we sang a hymn of rejoicing. Then the president invoked God's blessing on this building, on those who are erecting it, and for all the good that this gymnasium is planned to do. The bulldozers and trucks, silent for a few moments during the ceremony, now roll and grind and lift and pour. The job is being done. But there is a problem here that offers a great opportunity for a memorial building to some generous friend of Davidson. The building will cost $600,000, against which we have only $250,000, leaving a balance of $350,000 to obtain. Surely someone will consider this as an opportunity. I know President Cunningham started the contractor working with faith that this would be so. It sometimes becomes sick or are hurt, and thanks to Mr. William Y. Pryor, an up-to-date infirmary under the care of Dr. James Woods, Jr. is close by. Here they not only heal and cure, but every boy is given a careful physical examination and his good health is prescribed for. This boy's accident is more serious, but with the most modern of equipment, his trouble is diagnosed and soon he will be walking around. But let's turn from coordinated muscles to growing minds. This is the Hugh A. and Jane Parks Gray Memorial Library. It is a beautiful building in the traditional new classic style, and having been completed only in 1941, is one of the most modern in the South. The donors' faith in the students is exemplified in the open shelf system for which the interior was designed. There are no turnstiles or locked up stacks. Students have complete liberty of the building, and 100 years have shown us that the typical Davidson gentleman does not abuse it. The building contains reading rooms, seminar rooms for small study groups. Stack expansion for an additional 25,000 books is provided. The number of books is less important than the selection. For undergraduates and faculty, library staff and students all have a part in choosing the titles most appropriate for information and recreation. Shearer Hall. This is where music fills the air. Vocal and instrumental sounds ring out here all hours, for Davidson prizes music for its life-enriching values. Professor Full has a band to be proud of. Here they are rehearsing for a broadcast that will originate from Shearer Hall. Let's listen for a moment. A tribute to Davidson's high scholastic standing is that Phi Beta Kappa, the scholastic fraternity, located one of its earliest chapters here. For Davidson always has emphasized scholastic excellency. It is a fresh reminder that this is what America needs. Leaders, educated Christian leaders. Davidson has been providing these for a century or more. And this she must continue to do with new skills and equipment. A similar tribute is that the National Leadership Fraternity, Omicron Delta Kappa, ODK it is more popularly called, also has long located a chapter at Davidson. These are the students who have demonstrated leadership and character on the campus. Most people do not realize that more than 50% of all Davidson graduates enter business. That is far more than go into any other life work. The Committee on Corporation Support, in the very first study they made, uncovered more than 100 corporations that have one or more of their major officers a Davidson man. Woodrow Wilson himself never forgot that he went here. To Josephus Daniels he once wrote, "I understand that you are to speak at my old alma mater, Davidson College. Will you say to them, with how sincere an interest and affection I remember the college and wish it the best possible enlarging fortune." Under his portrait, the student council meets, and in his spirit, the oath of office is administered to the newly elected president of the council. Wilson's days were spent in the old campus, of course, and one of our dreams is to rebuild the old quad just as it was, including the old inn, and name it the Woodrow Wilson Quadrangle. Someone will surely make that possible, and through it will vitalize here the great spirit of the only president with a Southern background since the war between the states. Close by the old inn is what is popularly called the Cardboard Village, homes for the married GIs. Here with his babies and books, his spouse, and his household responsibilities, he has studied with such success that G.I. Joe in college is a man to be respected. This is dormitory roll. Some great names are honored here. Rumpel, Watts, Buke. These are the homes away from home. But there are just not enough of them. Even with 2 to a single room, we can house less than 600 in the dormitories. Others are placed in makeshift places, while hundreds more are turned away because there is not place for them to live. We simply must have another dormitory in dormitory row. Chapel services are held in chambers 5 times each week, conducted by faculty or students, and sometimes with visiting speakers. Dr. Cunningham is the speaker today, and as usual he goes right to their hearts as well as to their minds. The facts and ideals he brings to them are vital to their living. Aren't they as important as economics, history, and math? I remember reading somewhere that Christianity is not a voice in the wilderness, but a life in the world. Not an idea in the air, but feet on the ground going God's way. For 100 years, Davidson has been sending men into the world with their feet on the ground, going God's way. Speaking of religion, this is the YMCA and guest house, where much concerning the practice of religion is worked out. For instance, here the YMCA secretary and his cabinet hold an informal but important session right out on the lawn. Religion at the grassroots level, we might call it. And all these are ministerial students. 1/2 of all Presbyterian ministers in the Synod of North Carolina are Davidson men. 1 out of every 4 active ministers in the entire General Assembly attended Davidson. 5 out of the last moderators of the General Assembly have been trained at Davidson. Here go our deputation teams on their way. Just as renowned as our sports teams are these that carry the gospel to the sick in the sanatoriums, to out-of-the-way county Sunday schools, and to young people of the city churches. This team is coming to the Mecklenburg Sanatorium. Every week the patients look forward to the cheery visits with these vibrant fellows and to the Sunday school lessons taught by them so earnestly and intelligently. One might suppose that on this Christian campus, where buildings like Chambers, Martin, and Gray catch one's eye, the campus church would be one of marked beauty, dignity, and sufficiency. But no, it is an old, rather dilapidated, outmoded, inconvenient building set on the very edge of the campus. Time after time, plans to build a new church have been delayed. $250,000 was raised, but it will cost $600,000, which is $350,000 more than we have to build the beautiful and adequate structure that is contemplated. This should and must be secured within the next year. The pastor, Dr. Pritchett, put it this way: those who love and support Davidson College are grieved at this. It is now time for that temple which has been hidden away in our hearts to become real in steel, stone, and spire. At long last, the hidden power of the college must be made manifest in a beautiful and useful church. We can wait no longer to provide for them a building which will be a sanctuary for their souls. The time is now. Dr. Cunningham and the college treasurer, Mr. Frank Jackson, who has carefully guarded and wisely spent the college funds for so many years, are in earnest conversation over the forward growth and financial needs of Davidson. Let's listen in as Dr. Cunningham is earnestly saying,
now, recent studies have revealed that 50 years ago, there were 4 colleges in North Carolina which were about on a par in resources and in prestige. They were Davidson, founded by Presbyterians, Wake Forest, founded by Baptists, Trinity, founded by Methodists, and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. This chart reveals a strange development. Just why Presbyterians and other friends of Davidson have permitted their college's resources to lag behind those of its 3 erstwhile equals is not quite clear. For certainly they have not been lacking in wealth, nor in appreciation of education, nor indeed in their love for Davidson College. But whatever the reasons, the fact stands that the college, under their direct care, Davidson, has been far outstripped by the other 3 institutions in the past 50 years, so far as material resources are concerned. I am convinced, however, that the friends of Davidson will realize, as we present her claims to them, that now is Davidson's time, and that they will meet the challenge of our development program with funds to complete the gymnasium and the church, to provide for us a new dormitory and a student center, and to match the new construction with endowment to support the work. To keep the college moving forward, it will take no less than $2.5 million.
These students know the ancient tradition, as we do, that he who drinks of that clear water from the old well will come back to the campus again and again. After 4 years of earnest effort, commencement finally arrives. Alumni return and recall the old days. Well, if here isn't John Payne and old Enoch. Enoch served the school for generations and then was comfortably retired. He claims to have been a bone before the freedom. No one knows his age. He even boasts that he remembers when Woodrow Wilson was a student. The president is in much demand. Mrs. Cunningham, too, always near her husband, shares in greetings to the large Davidson family. We look into the faces of these Davidson people and recognize the character of the men who, trained here, have done well for their communities and the churches and have served their country in peace and war. All of us love a parade, but this one has added significance for another class of Davidson men, educated Christian men, have now been ready to go out into the world of work. So the band rings out, the academic procession moves on, and into chambers. The faculty in their colorful robes, white hoods indicating arts and letters, red divinity, orange science, blue philosophy, and purple laws. I am the voice of Davidson. Mine is the composite voice of William Davidson and Woodrow Wilson, of the Johnny Rebs coming back from the war between the states, and G.I. Joes who swarmed the campus in '46. My Scotch-Irish brogue brought here by the early settlers has softened into the diction of the South across the century that has passed since that day in 1837 when Davidson College first opened its doors. Through me speak all men who have loved and respected your Davidson, and who want this college to do for the sons of the future what she has done for the fathers of the past. Deep within me, I am inspired to say, forward, Davidson. Davidson's future must be assured today.